the TikTok saga is getting very interesting. It appears as though now it's basically a pissing contest between Trump and Biden. What had happened was, so originally we were all told that this ban was happening because of the CCP, and it's very dangerous. They're getting all of your data because no one else has ever gotten our data. Our data has totally been safe from Facebook Messenger this entire time. So obviously we're all well aware that this was never about that, and probably more about control and censorship. One thing before we continue, I did hear several times that this was because of Israel. Okay, yes, a lot of this conversation did come up during the heightened conflict between Israel and Hamas, so that is true. And yes, it is true that there was probably a pro-Israel or two lobbyist group, and some of their incentive for wanting to make a bill to ban TikTok was some of the anti-Semitism on the app, so that makes sense. But they were one of many, many, many different lobbyist groups that had interest in taking TikTok away. The thing about TikTok is it's basically eating everyone's lunch. It has changed the way people watch TV. It's changed the way people communicate. It's changed the way that people share news. So it's basically kind of a threat to everyone. And just one more thing to say to that. I have to remind myself of this. Sometimes when one of your main fights is a specific narrative, you tend to look at everything through that lens, and it can sort of distort your own perception of reality a little bit. What's that saying? Be careful when fighting monsters, for if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back at you. So, yeah, there were some groups in there, but everyone, and one of the main people I think is Facebook, which, oh my gosh, Mark Zuckerberg, but I don't think that's his intention. His intention is he feels rather threatened, as do a lot of people. Anyway, also, one of the things that everyone's pointing out is it's hilarious that some of our senators that are saying we need to get rid of it for our safety, they have accounts on TikTok. It's like, shouldn't maybe a senator not have an account on TikTok? Anyway, so basically what this did is it obviously made a lot of people mad. So it pushed all the TikTok kids to find an even worse app and go and download that. So this caused everyone to flock over to this website called, well, people were calling it RedNote, which I do think that's one of the things that you can call it. But if you take that word right there and directly translate it, what is it? It's Little Red Book. Yeah, so they all flocked to, if you know anything about Chinese history, you know the Little Red Book. And just out of pure irony, no connection, just irony, one of the founders, his first name is Mao.
If you can't follow rules, stay the fuck off RedNote. The sheer entitlement that I'm seeing from American users using RedNote is insanity. Literally, RedNote has been nothing but welcoming. You know, everybody understands, but y'all have gone over there and just made a mockery. Y'all are trying to take over the goddamn app, and that is actually not okay. It's a different app in a different community with different citizens in a completely different country.
I'm deleting my RedNote account. It was fun. It was petty. The point was made. It went to number 1. Facebook is currently number 22. Wonderful. But it's doing real damage to the Chinese people. I didn't foresee this happening, but it was a little bit short-sighted on our part, probably. China is already starting to separate out foreign users from mainland China. This is effectively cutting off some of the Chinese people who are abroad.
So my new Chinese friends on RedNote are calling me fat in the nicest way possible. And they, in that same thread, let me know about ractopamine. I'm probably saying that wrong, but do you know about ractopamine? Because I didn't.
Sorry for that unhinged compilation, but that's basically what the whole gist was of the people experiencing this app. So our government basically said we need to protect you from the CCP, so they pushed everyone to an app that is the actual CCP, and then they potentially ruined that app for some of the Chinese people, because China was like, you're not coming over here with your degeneracy and eating we're going to separate you out. So what happened was they started to separate out their servers for the out-of-country users and the in-country users, and are considering making it so the two can't even communicate, even if you want to, which would effectively cut off some of the local Chinese people from relatives and friends that they have in other countries. The whole thing is a mess. But anyway, this is why we can't have nice things. But anyway, it did effectively make the Biden administration look really bad. What also made the Biden administration look really bad is that Trump actually had a meeting with the CEO of TikTok about a month ago at Mar-a-Lago and has been floating the idea of potentially wanting to work with TikTok and delay the ban so that they can figure out some kind of solution moving forward. If you remember, Trump actually started a TikTok account at the tail end of his campaign, and after he started that, he was able to reach tons and tons of people. His vote amongst that age demographic with Gen Z, when I think it was something crazy like 30 points, you can correct me on that, but that was the biggest jump that a Republican has seen with that demographic, and he attributed a lot of that to TikTok. Also, what does Trump hate more than anything? Besides Rosie O'Donnell, he hates fake news. So if he has a way that he can get directly with that age group, because let's be honest, X is cool, but this is where that age group is at, and this is where you get some pretty insane numbers and insane reach. So this is the demographic that he's going to want to reach. He has a lot of incentive to keep it around, although I do also see the incentive with the US for wanting to break it up a little bit, just because, yeah, it's eating everyone's lunch. And the CEO of TikTok is attending Trump's inauguration. So my theory about this whole thing was that he was basically waiting out to bypass the Biden administration and cut a deal with Trump. That's my whole thing, because the whole deal was he had to sell to an American company by January 19th, or the bill would go into effect in that day, and it would be a complete blackout for TikTok. There's a lot of people that have showed interest in buying it, but the CEO of TikTok is not budging. He's saying, nope, we're absolutely not going to sell. So my theory is that he's waiting for Trump to delay it, and then they're going to work out some kind of deal, because it's the art of the deal. But what's even funnier is this is further more things that make the Biden administration just look super duper uncool. Not to mention, you have celebrity gossip guy Perez Hilton basically trending Donald Trump is going to save TikTok. And now the Biden administration is like, look, we're gonna look, we can save this, we can do something, we can save that. You tried to ban it, it was your idea. So if TikTok goes somewhere temporarily, I do think it will be back. I do think this was probably a plan all along. That's my little theory with Trump and the CEO. So we'll see.